Hello, hello, hello again. This is Purpose Over Problems, a podcast series where we work our way through emotional binds. I am Cedric. I hope you are wonderful. If not, let's get there. Coming to you from the Pop 4213 studios. And today we're talking about relationships.
We gon' be alright, yeah. The sun's gonna shine bright, yeah. And we gon' live our best life, yeah. Every wrong we gon' get it right, yeah, yeah. We gon' be alright, yeah. The sun's gonna shine bright, yeah. And we gon' live our best life, yeah. Every wrong we gon' get it right, yeah, yeah. We gon' be alright.
For me, the essential part in any and every all of my relationships would be reciprocity. Um, Never neglect yourself. Make sure that there's value in that relationship. Make sure that if you're pouring into the relationship, you're being poured into also. There's a book that I've read called The Seven Habits of the Highly Effective People, where it breaks down the different types of relationships. A lot of times we believe that independence is the end all be all. Um, it's good, but it's not the end all be all. And certainly codependence is something that you don't want to be in. But if we can get into interdependence, that's where the magic happens. That's where I've worked on myself and I'm able to take the best parts of me and join you, and you've worked on yourself and you're bringing the best parts of you, and we bring them together, and then voila, again, as I said, magic happens from that. You know, people will tell you who you are, who they really are. I think it's our job to believe them and thank them for saving our time. A lot of times when we first meet people, they will send their representative. It won't really be authentic, but there'll be clues. What you have to do is really pay attention to those clues so you can kind of weave through the show to find the real person. Growth is very important for me. And it's not growth in the sense of obtaining things, but it's that mindset that, you know, you're on this journey to ultimately become the best version of yourself. I can't be around anybody that's always 18, or always 25, forever young. That leads nowhere. Again, we have to make sure we're pouring in to people. So when I look at life, I'm changing. And anybody that's in my circle has to change with me. Communication is very important. I often tell my wife that one of my biggest fears is waking up next to a stranger. So my job is to make sure we have those conversations where we share our dreams, share our goals, make sure we are in alignment. As the older people would say, we are constantly courting. Um, I'm different than I was at 20. I'm different than I was at 30. Going into 40, I'll be different again, and that's okay. And it's the same for my wife. But what's important is that we grow together. Trust is another very important part. If you're going to take your relationship to the next level, you have to make sure that You get to a point where you lay everything on the table. You're good, you're bad, you're ugly, and you make that decision if you're ready to go forward. And if you're ready to go forward, and if you give that person your trust, do just that. A lot of friction happens when the trust is coming from a point where we say it, but we really don't mean it. You know, after so many years, I shouldn't have to question my trust. I gave it to you. So, you know, it's just that. And also the flip side of communication, disagreements and arguments, at times they can be healthy. If two people are always thinking the same, that just means one person's not thinking. I wish I knew exactly where this came from, but in the Bible, there's a passage in Proverbs that says, "Deceitful are the kisses of an enemy, but faithful are the wounds of your friend." A friend is going to tell you some things that you might not want to hear, that might not be pleasant, but ultimately it's in your best interest. And even if you don't want to hear it at the time, you go back and reflect on it, and it may have stopped you from making a huge mistake. Whereas an enemy will tell you the sweet things and they'll tell you everything that you want to hear, but they really don't care if you're walking into that hole or if you're walking into that trap, because it's something for them to talk about. So don't be so sensitive to the point, or don't be so naive that just because somebody's telling you something that you don't want to hear, you dismiss it and cut it off. That's not a wise thing to do. And ultimately know that all relationships are different, and all dynamics of the relationships for different people may vary. So what your relationship looks like won't be what the next person's relationship looks like, and that's okay. It's not a one size fit all kind of thing. And if you can help it, please don't air your dirty laundry on the socials. The vultures and the cleanup women and the cleanup men are listening. Don't invite them in. As Luther Vandross famously said in one of his songs, "I would rather have bad times with you than good times with somebody else." Once you find that person that's with you and they have your best interest in mind, and it's no ulterior motives, let me talk to the fellas for a minute. That temporary gratification or that short-term ego boost is never worth putting what you found in danger. It's never worth it. And butterflies, you know, they're nice, but it's not the end all be all. To me, that's not an authentic representation of love. When I hear that word love, I think it's interchangeable and synonymous with sacrifice. Love isn't strictly a feeling, it's an action. It's an ongoing process, it's work. And sometimes those butterflies can lead you into bad situations. But don't get me wrong, if that's your thing and you really found love, they can always be rekindled and they can always come back. What I'm saying is, don't chase the butterflies. When you found that person, create those butterflies. After a while, the person with the Bentley or the Rolls Royce, you know, it just becomes their blue or their gray car. Similar to people, when we're chasing the things that aren't real, make sure you take time to do an inventory and find those special things. Find those unique things that make those relationships worthwhile. It was a point where I had to pray, and you know, the conversation I was having with God was, I know what I want, but apparently I don't know what I need, because I was dating the same woman with a different name. But once I was honest and asked God to give me what I needed, my prayers were answered. So now it's my job to honor and protect that answered prayer. Never put that in jeopardy. This is going to be an ongoing conversation, especially when I get into the interview phase of this podcast series. I'm sure it's some things that I've missed. It may be some things that you disagree with, but get in those comments. Let me know. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if there's anything that should be added. This is, or it should be, an interactive process. I'm having a conversation. But we will revisit it. But for now, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get through our problems to arrive at our purpose. Until next time.